They provoke you, you respond. They insult you, you defend. They distract you, you follow. And without realizing it, you are controlled. But the Stoics discovered something dangerous. The moment you stop reacting, you become untouchable. Stay with me, because this is the power of ignoring. Chapter 1. The moment you stop reacting. We live in an age of instant response. Notifications demand attention. Opinions demand defense. Criticism demands explanation. Everything feels urgent. Everything feels personal. But not everything deserves you. This is the first truth. Attention is your most valuable resource, and most people give it away cheaply. A stranger types a sentence, and your mood shifts. Someone misunderstands you, and your peace dissolves. An unexpected obstacle appears, and frustration takes control. Why? Because reaction has become automatic. The Stoic does not live automatically. The Stoic lives deliberately. Marcus Aurelius ruled during chaos, war at the borders, plague in the cities, betrayal in politics. And yet, in his private reflections, he reminded himself daily, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Read that slowly. Not outside events, not other people, not circumstances. Your mind. And when you truly understand this, reaction becomes optional. Reaction feels powerful in the moment. It feels like defense. It feels like justice. It feels like strength. But most reactions are weakness disguised as action. When someone insults you, and you immediately respond, who is in control? When criticism ruins your focus, who is in control? When anger dictates your words, who is in control? Not you. And the Stoics valued one thing above all, self-mastery. Because a person who cannot govern their emotions will always be governed by the world. There is a difference between responding and reacting. Reaction is immediate, emotional, unexamined. Response is deliberate, measured, chosen. Between what happens and what you do next, there is a space. Most people never enter that space. They live outside it, in impulse. But in that space lies your freedom. When someone provokes you, pause. When anger rises, pause. When ego demands defense, pause. In that pause, you reclaim authority. The world will test you daily, through insult, through inconvenience, through misunderstanding, through distraction. And every test asks the same question. Will you react, or will you choose? The power of ignoring is not about pretending something didn't happen. It is about deciding it does not deserve control over you. Not everything deserves your energy. Not everything deserves your voice. Not everything deserves your emotion. And when you finally understand this, you begin to filter life differently. Most conflicts survive because two people refuse to ignore. Most drama continues because someone keeps responding. Most distractions grow because attention feeds them. But when you withdraw attention, many problems collapse on their own. Silence starves nonsense. Calm dissolves chaos. Non-reaction exposes immaturity. And here's the paradox. When you stop trying to prove your strength, you become strong. When you stop defending your value, you demonstrate it. When you stop reacting to every disturbance, you become difficult to disturb. Imagine walking into a room, and nothing there can manipulate your emotions. No comment shakes you. No look intimidates you. No opinion unsettles you. That is power, not dominance over others. Dominance over yourself. The Stoics trained for this daily. They reminded themselves, people act from ignorance. Events unfold beyond control. Life does not owe comfort. So why react as if surprised? Expectation fuels frustration. Acceptance fuels stability. To ignore wisely is to understand hierarchy. Ask yourself, does this matter in a week, in a month, in a year? Will this strengthen my character or weaken it? Is this within my control or outside it? Most things that disturb you fail this test. And once you see that clearly, you begin to conserve your energy. Energy becomes focus. Focus becomes discipline. Discipline becomes calm. Calm becomes authority. Here is the truth few accept. If you react to everything, you are controlled by everything. If you ignore strategically, you control yourself. And self-control is the highest form of power. This is only the beginning, because ignoring is not just about insults. It is about distractions. It is about desire. It is about fear. It is about the endless noise of the world. Chapter 2. Ignore what you cannot control. Most of your stress does not come from reality. It comes from resisting reality. You argue with what already is. You fight outcomes you never controlled. You replay events that cannot be reversed. And in doing so, you exhaust yourself. The Stoics built their philosophy on one dividing line. What is within your control and what is not? This line changes everything. Epictetus, once a slave, taught something radical. Some things are up to us. Some things are not. Up to you, your thoughts, your choices, your effort, your character. Not up to you, other people's opinions, other people's actions, the past, the weather, the economy, fate. And yet, look at where most people spend their energy. On the uncontrollable. They try to manage how others see them. They obsess over outcomes. They fear events that haven't happened. They regret events that already did. They attempt to command what was never theirs to command. And then they wonder why they feel powerless. Control is addictive. The ego wants certainty, guarantees, security. But life does not offer guarantees. It offers unpredictability. The Stoic does not panic at this truth. The Stoic accepts it. Acceptance is not surrender and weakness. It is clarity. You stop demanding reality behave differently. And when you stop demanding, you stop suffering unnecessarily. Imagine this. Someone criticizes you unfairly. You cannot control their judgment, but you try. You explain. You argue. You replay the conversation in your mind. Hours lost. Energy drained. For what? Their opinion still belongs to them. Now imagine instead, you examine the criticism calmly. If it is useful, you improve. If it is false, you release. No emotional chaos. No obsession. Just evaluation and movement forward. That is Stoic power. Most anxiety is an attempt to control the uncontrollable future. What if this happens? What if I fail? What if they leave? What if I lose? But the future does not obey worry. Worry is imagination misused. The Stoic asks, can I act on this right now? If yes, act. If no, release. That's it. Simple. Not easy, but simple. The more you try to control what is external, the more fragile you become, because your stability depends on something unstable. Other people change, circumstances shift, plans collapse. If your peace depends on these, your peace collapses with them. But if your peace depends only on your character, your effort, your discipline, then nothing external can fully shake you. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, you have power over your mind, not outside events. This is not motivational optimism. It is psychological armor. If you truly accept this principle, life simplifies. You stop fighting the weather. You stop fighting traffic. You stop fighting delays. You stop fighting personalities. You deal with them calmly, without emotional rebellion. Resistance is draining. Acceptance is efficient. When something unavoidable happens, most people add a second layer of suffering. This shouldn't be happening, but it is happening. Reality does not negotiate. The Stoic removes that second layer. They say, this is here. Now, what is my best move? That question returns power to you. Ignoring what you cannot control does not mean apathy. It means focus. It means redirecting your energy to where it actually matters. You cannot control the storm, but you can control how you prepare. You cannot control betrayal, but you can control your integrity. You cannot control rejection, but you can control your growth. When you shift your attention inward, you become stable, and stability is rare. Look at most arguments. Two people fighting, over interpretations, over pride, over outcomes neither can fully shape, and both leave exhausted. But imagine one person decides, this is outside my control. They withdraw emotional investment. Suddenly, the argument collapses because conflict requires participation, and the Stoic chooses carefully what they participate in. Here's a hidden truth. Trying to control everything makes you weak. Controlling yourself makes you powerful. The more you narrow your focus to your thoughts, your effort, your response, the stronger you become. Because these are trainable, and mastery of the trainable creates confidence. You stop fearing uncertainty because you trust your response. Think about how much mental space is wasted daily worrying about people's opinions, obsessing over past mistakes, predicting disasters. Imagine redirecting that space into discipline, into learning, into improvement. Ignoring the uncontrollable is not passive. It is strategic redirection. It is energy conservation. It is mental minimalism. Life becomes lighter when you stop carrying what isn't yours. Other people's emotions are not yours to fix. Other people's expectations are not yours to satisfy. Random misfortune is not a personal attack. Events happen. Your power lies in interpretation, and interpretation is always within your control. This is the first pillar of unshakable peace. If it is not within your control, do not give it authority over your mind. Practice this daily. Missed opportunity? Outside your control now. Someone misunderstands you? Outside your control. Unexpected setback? Partially outside your control. Your response? Always within it. When you internalize this, life stops feeling like combat. It becomes training. Every inconvenience becomes practice. Every frustration becomes a test. And every test strengthens discipline. Chapter 3. Ignore the insult. Control the outcome. An insult only works if it enters you. Words are vibrations in the air. They pass through space. They dissolve unless you catch them, unless you hold them, unless you decide. They define you. Most people are not hurt by words. They are hurt by their interpretation of words. The Stoics understood this deeply. No one can insult you without your cooperation. Imagine someone calls you incompetent. Immediately, the ego wakes up. Defend yourself. Prove them wrong. Attack back. Your heart rate rises. Your thoughts accelerate. You begin constructing arguments. But pause. Ask yourself, is this statement true? If yes, improve. If no, ignore. Why would you be disturbed by something false? And why would you resist something true that helps you grow? This single shift removes the poison from insult. Most insults are projections. Insecurity speaking loudly, pain looking for an outlet, ego seeking dominance. When someone attacks you emotionally, they reveal their state, not your worth. But if you react aggressively, you absorb their instability. Now 2 people are disturbed. The Stoic refuses this exchange. They do not trade peace for pride. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, when someone does wrong, it is because they believe it is right. Think about that. People act according to their understanding. If they insult you, it is their level of awareness speaking. Why take personally what originates from ignorance? You would not feel insulted by a child shouting in anger. Why? Because you recognize immaturity. Apply the same logic to adults. Maturity is not age. It is emotional control, and the Stoic chooses maturity. Silence is unsettling. When someone attempts to provoke you, and you remain calm, they feel exposed because they expected reaction. They expected escalation. They expected you to validate their aggression. Instead, you give them nothing. no anger, no drama, no performance. And in that moment, you demonstrate dominance, not over them, but over yourself. There's a reason insults sting. They attack identity. They threaten image. They challenge how you see yourself. But if your self-worth depends on external approval, you are fragile. The Stoic builds identity internally. Character over reputation, integrity over applause, reality over rumor. If you know who you are, insults bounce. If you are unsure, insults penetrate. So the solution is not better defense. It is stronger self-knowledge. Ask yourself, why does this comment disturb me? Is it touching an insecurity? Is it exposing something I avoid confronting? Sometimes insult reveals weakness worth correcting. In that case, the insult becomes a teacher. Other times, it is empty noise. In that case, it deserves silence. Either way, reaction is optional. Epictetus said something powerful. If someone speaks ill of you, and it is true, correct yourself. If it is false, laugh. There is freedom in that simplicity, but most people complicate it. They argue endlessly. They replay conversations in their mind. They seek allies. They crave validation. All for words. Words, and in chasing them, they lose composure. Emotional provocation is a trap. It attempts to pull you from logic into impulse. Once emotional, you are predictable. Once predictable, you are controllable. But when you remain calm, you become unreadable, and unreadable people are difficult to manipulate. This is why emotional discipline is power, not loud power, quiet power. Consider this. If someone insults a mountain, does the mountain respond? If someone curses the ocean, does the ocean shrink? Strength does not argue. It remains. You do not need to attend every fight. You are invited to. Declining is not cowardice. It is strategy. The more selective you become with your reactions, the more respected your reactions become, because they are rare. Here is the deeper truth. Insults test ego, and ego wants to win. But the Stoic is not trying to win arguments. The Stoic is trying to win mastery. There is a difference. Winning arguments feeds pride. Winning mastery builds character. And character outlasts applause. When you ignore wisely, you redirect energy. Instead of arguing, you improve. Instead of defending, you advance. Instead of retaliating, you build. Let others waste energy in noise. You invest in growth. Over time, results speak louder than reaction ever could. One day you will notice something. The same words that once disturbed you no longer reach you. The same provocations no longer move you. The same insults no longer sting. Not because the world softened, but because you strengthened. And that is the goal. Not changing people, changing yourself. Chapter 4. Ignore the distraction. Protect your focus. You are not overwhelmed. You are overexposed. Too many voices, too many notifications, too many opinions, too many demands. Your mind was not designed for constant interruption. Yet most people live in permanent distraction, and they call it normal. The Stoics would call it weakness, not moral weakness, mental weakness, because focus is strength and distraction is surrender. Every distraction makes a promise. Just a second, just check this, just respond quickly. But distraction never takes a second. It fractures attention. And fractured attention destroys depth. Depth is where mastery lives. Shallow focus creates shallow results. The Stoics understood that attention is a limited resource, and what you give attention to grows. If you give attention to gossip, gossip grows. If you give attention to outrage, anger grows. If you give attention to fear, anxiety grows. But if you give attention to discipline, discipline grows. The question is simple. What are you feeding daily? Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire without social media, without endless commentary, without digital noise. Yet even he wrote about mental intrusion. He reminded himself constantly to return to the present task. Return. That word matters, because distraction is constant. Focus must be chosen, again and again. Most people believe productivity is about doing more. The Stoic believes productivity is about ignoring more. Ignoring what does not matter. Ignoring what does not serve purpose. Ignoring what weakens discipline. Every time you allow interruption, you train your brain to expect it. You become reactive, not intentional. You begin living in fragments, and fragmented thinking cannot produce excellence. Distraction is modern chaos, but even without technology, the human mind wanders. It drifts toward pleasure, toward novelty, toward ease. Stoicism is not anti-pleasure. It is anti-loss of control. When you cannot direct your own attention, you are not free. Freedom is not doing what you want. Freedom is choosing what deserves focus. Look at your day honestly. How much time is intentional? How much is reaction? A message arrives, you check it. A thought appears, you chase it. A notification sounds, you respond. Your environment commands you, and you obey. But imagine this instead. You choose when to engage. You decide when to respond. You protect blocks of uninterrupted thought. You ignore non-essential noise. Suddenly, your mind feels clearer, not because life changed, but because you filtered it. Epictetus taught that discipline begins internally. Control of impulse, control of desire, control of attention. Ignoring distraction is training in impulse resistance. When your hand reaches for the phone, without reason, pause. When your mind seeks stimulation, instead of effort, pause. In that pause, strength is built, not dramatic strength, subtle strength. But subtle strength compounds. Every great achievement requires long periods of sustained focus. Depth cannot exist in constant interruption. Wisdom cannot grow in mental noise. Character cannot strengthen in endless distraction. The Stoics practiced mental solitude, even in crowds, even in chaos. They withdrew inward, not to escape responsibility, but to protect clarity. You must learn the same. There is power in saying no silently, no to unnecessary scrolling, no to meaningless argument, no to comparison, no to constant stimulation. The more you say no to distraction, the more you say yes to growth, because growth requires discomfort, and distraction is the easiest escape from discomfort. When work feels hard, you seek novelty. When effort feels heavy, you seek entertainment. When progress feels slow, you seek validation. But every escape delays mastery. Ask yourself, what could you become if your attention was disciplined? How much stronger would your mind be if it was not constantly fragmented? How much calmer would you feel if your focus was deliberate? Ignoring distraction is not isolation, it is selection. You choose what deserves entry into your mental space, and over time, that selection shapes identity. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Most people fail not from lack of talent, but from lack of sustained focus. They begin strong, they drift, they react, they scatter, and then they blame circumstances. The Stoic does not scatter. The Stoic narrows, because narrowing increases intensity, and intensity creates results. Imagine a lens. When light is scattered, it warms. When light is focused, it burns. Your attention works the same way. Protect it, guard it, direct it, ignore what weakens it. Because a distracted mind is easy to manipulate, but a focused mind is dangerous. Chapter 5. Ignore the impulse, master the emotion. The most dangerous voice is not outside you, it is inside. It speaks quickly, emotionally, urgently. Say it, react, defend yourself, get even, prove them wrong. And most people obey it instantly. That voice is impulse, and impulse is power without discipline. Stoicism does not teach emotional suppression. It teaches emotional authority. There is a difference. Suppression buries emotion. Authority examines it. When anger rises, the Stoic does not explode and does not deny it. He observes it. What is this? Why is it here? Is it useful? That pause is mastery. Most damage in life is done in seconds. A harsh message sent, a relationship ended in ego, an insult returned with greater insult, a decision made in rage. One impulsive moment can create years of consequence. But here is the truth. Emotion is fast. Wisdom is slow. If you let speed decide, you lose control. Epictetus taught that it is not events that disturb us, but our judgments about them. Someone insults you. Is that insult pain? Or is it your interpretation that makes it painful? You feel disrespected. But what was actually harmed? Your body? No. Your values? No. Or just your ego? Most anger protects pride, and pride is fragile. When someone ignores you, you feel rejected. When someone criticizes you, you feel attacked. When someone succeeds, you feel threatened. But feelings are not facts. They are reactions. And reactions can be examined. The Stoic trains himself to delay response, not to appear calm, but to become calm. Because when emotion is unexamined, it owns you. Think about how often you react instantly. A comment online, a message misunderstood, a tone that feels disrespectful. Your heart rate increases. Your thoughts sharpen like weapons. You want to respond, but responding quickly is often responding weakly. Strength is restraint. Marcus Aurelius wrote reminders to himself. Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. This does not mean deny injustice. It means separate event from interpretation. Someone's opinion cannot damage your character. Someone's insult cannot reduce your worth unless you grant it power. Ignoring impulse is not weakness. It is delayed strength. When you refuse to react instantly, you give reason time to speak. Reason is quiet. Impulse is loud. That is why most people never hear reason. Let's talk about anger. Anger feels powerful. It feels righteous. It feels justified. But anger clouds precision, and the Stoic values precision. If correction is needed, do it calmly. If boundaries are needed, set them clearly. If injustice occurs, address it firmly. But never let emotion drive the action, because emotion seeks release. Wisdom seeks resolution. There is also the impulse of desire, wanting attention, wanting validation, wanting immediate reward. You work hard, you want recognition. You improve, you want praise. You sacrifice, you want appreciation. But when desire controls you, you become dependent, and dependence is vulnerability. The Stoic learns to act without craving applause, because external approval is unstable. Internal approval is steady. Even sadness can become impulsive. Self-pity, victim thinking, dwelling on unfairness. It feels comforting to replay pain, but dwelling strengthens suffering. Acknowledging pain is healthy. Living inside it is not. Ignoring the impulse to dramatize pain protects your resilience. Every emotion carries energy. The question is, will you let it explode, or will you redirect it? Anger can become discipline. Jealousy can become motivation. Fear can become preparation. But only if you pause, only if you observe, only if you refuse to react blindly. Here's a practice. The next time emotion rises, say nothing, do nothing, wait, feel it fully without acting on it. You will notice something powerful. Emotions peak, and then they fall, like waves. If you do not act during the peak, you regain control. This is emotional endurance, and endurance builds authority. The world respects those who are not easily shaken, not because they feel nothing, but because they are not ruled by what they feel. Imagine someone tries to provoke you, and you remain composed. No defense, no anger, no urgency. Their power disappears because their power depended on your reaction. When you ignore emotional bait, you become unmovable. Your greatest enemy is not the insult, not the criticism, not the unfair situation. It is the untrained reaction. Master that, and you master yourself. And self-mastery is the foundation of all power. Chapter 6. Ignore the need for validation. Most people don't live freely. They perform. They adjust their words. To be liked, they adjust their opinions. To be accepted, they adjust their behavior. To avoid disapproval. And slowly, without noticing, they hand over their identity to the crowd. The Stoic refuses this trade. The need for validation is subtle. It doesn't always look desperate. Sometimes it looks like ambition. Sometimes it looks like kindness. Sometimes it looks like confidence. But underneath is a question. Do they approve of me? And when that question controls you, you are not free. Epictetus asked a simple question. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Most people cannot handle that. They want to be seen as intelligent, strong, respected, admired. But strength that depends on applause is fragile strength. The moment applause stops, confidence collapses. Think about how often your mood changes based on someone else's reaction. A compliment lifts you. A criticism crushes you. A like excites you. Silence unsettles you. This is not stability. This is emotional outsourcing. You have outsourced your worth to external opinion. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, I have often wondered how it is that every man loves himself more than all the rest of men, but yet sets less value on his own opinion of himself than on the opinion of others. Read that again. You live with yourself daily. You know your effort, your discipline, your integrity. Yet one stranger's opinion can outweigh your own self-judgment. Why? Because you were trained to seek approval from parents, from teachers, from society. Approval became reward. Disapproval became fear. And now, even as an adult, you still chase invisible applause. Validation is addictive. It feels warm. It feels safe. It feels confirming. But addiction weakens independence. When you need approval to act, you hesitate. When you fear criticism, you stay silent. When you worry about perception, you shrink your potential. The Stoic expands anyway. There's a cost to living for approval. You dilute your truth. You hesitate to speak honestly. You avoid necessary confrontation. You hide ambition to seem humble. You hide intelligence to seem relatable. You become smaller to remain acceptable, and slowly you lose respect for yourself. True confidence is quiet. It does not need witnesses. It does not demand praise. It does not fear disagreement. It is rooted internally. Ask yourself, if no one saw your effort, would you still work? If no one praised your growth, would you still improve? If no one approved of your path, would you still walk it? If the answer is no, you are still seeking permission. The Stoics focus on one audience, their own conscience. Is this action aligned with my values? Is this decision virtuous? Is this conduct honorable? That was enough. Public opinion changes daily. Character does not. When you stop chasing validation, something powerful happens. You become unpredictable to manipulators because manipulation works through approval and rejection. Do this and I'll praise you. Disagree and I'll withdraw. But if praise doesn't control you and rejection doesn't frighten you, manipulation fails. And that is freedom. Ignoring validation does not mean becoming cold. It means becoming anchored. You can appreciate praise without depending on it. You can hear criticism without collapsing under it. You can stand alone without feeling lonely because your worth is internally confirmed. There will be moments when you are misunderstood, moments when your growth intimidates others, moments when your discipline makes people uncomfortable. Let them misunderstand. Let them doubt. Let them talk. Your path is not a democracy. It is a responsibility. Most people stay average because average is accepted. Excellence attracts criticism. Strength attracts resistance. Independence attracts isolation. But the Stoic chooses growth over popularity every time. Here is the test. Do the right thing, even when no one claps. Speak truth, even when it costs approval. Continue improving, even when no one notices. Because the moment you no longer need validation, you become unstoppable. Chapter 7. Ignore the fear that paralyzes you. Fear does not always look dramatic. It rarely announces itself as panic. Most of the time, fear looks like hesitation. I'll start tomorrow. I'm not ready yet. What if I fail? What will they think? It disguises itself as logic, but beneath it is avoidance. Fear is ancient. It was designed to protect you from physical danger, but today it protects you from growth. You are not running from lions. You are running from judgment, from uncertainty, from discomfort. And the Stoic asks, is this fear protecting me or imprisoning me? Seneca wrote, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Think about that. How many times have you suffered something that never happened? You imagine failure. You imagine embarrassment. You imagine rejection, and your body reacts as if it is real. Your heart tightens. Your energy drops. Your courage shrinks. All from a future that does not exist. Fear feeds on imagination. It paints worst-case scenarios with vivid detail. But reality is usually far less dramatic. You fear starting the project, but once you begin, Momentum builds. You fear speaking up, but once you speak, clarity replaces anxiety. You fear change, but once you adapt, strength replaces doubt. The anticipation is heavier than the event. The Stoics practice something powerful, premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of adversity. They imagine the worst outcome calmly, not to panic, but to prepare. What if I fail? Then I learn. What if they reject me? Then I redirect. What if I lose? Then I rebuild. When you face fear directly, it shrinks. When you avoid it, it grows. Fear also attaches to identity. You don't just fear failure. You fear being seen as a failure. You don't just fear mistakes. You fear looking incompetent. This is ego mixed with fear, and it paralyzes action. But understand this. No one who has achieved strength did so without visible failure. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is movement despite it. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. This is not dark. It is clarifying. If time is limited, why hesitate? If life is temporary, why shrink? Fear steals time, and time is the only currency you never recover. Ask yourself, what does fear cost you? Opportunities delayed, words unsaid, chances ignored, dreams postponed. Fear rarely destroys loudly. It erodes quietly, one safe choice at a time, until years pass and regret replaces anxiety. There are two types of pain, the pain of discipline and the pain of regret. Fear pushes you toward comfort, but comfort now creates regret later. The Stoic chooses short-term discomfort for long-term peace because facing fear once is easier than living with regret for years. Fear of criticism, fear of starting over, fear of not being good enough. But what is the alternative? Stagnation. And stagnation is a slow death. Growth always feels unstable. New ground is unfamiliar. But every strong person once stood trembling at the edge of uncertainty. The difference? They stepped forward anyway. Here's a practice. When fear appears, name it. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of embarrassment. By naming it, you separate from it. You are not fear. You are observing fear. And what you can observe, you can control. Then ask, what is the smallest step I can take? Right now? Not the entire leap, just one step. Action weakens fear. Inaction strengthens it. Understand this deeply. Fear is often a signal that something matters. If it didn't matter, you wouldn't be afraid. So instead of running, lean in. Where there is fear, there is growth waiting. When you ignore paralyzing fear, you reclaim movement, and movement creates confidence, not the other way around. Confidence does not come first. Action does, and confidence follows. Chapter 8. The Ultimate Power, inner freedom. Freedom is not loud. It is quiet. It does not announce itself. It does not demand applause. It does not bend others to its will. It exists in the mind of one who is unshakable. The Stoics called it inner freedom, and it is the natural result of mastering all you've learned so far. You have learned to ignore what does not matter, to stop reacting to insults, to shield your attention from distraction, to master your emotions, to abandon the need for validation, to confront fear instead of surrendering to it. Every layer of control you relinquish to the world, you reclaim for yourself, and that is power, not over others, but over yourself. True freedom does not come from external circumstances. Wealth cannot buy it. Status cannot grant it. Approval cannot create it. Freedom is earned in silence, in patience, in deliberate practice, in every moment you refuse to give your power away. Think about life as it is right now. How much of your energy is wasted on noise, insults, distraction, fear, and approval? Now imagine reclaiming it all. Every thought, every action, every reaction, yours to direct. The world may throw storms at you. People may speak against you. Circumstances may collapse. But none of that matters when you stand unshaken. Stoicism teaches us, you are not the events around you. You are the observer. You are the chooser. You are the master of your inner world. When you understand this, life becomes simple. Focus on what you can control. Ignore what you cannot. Act with integrity. Move with purpose, and let the rest fade. Some will say this is cold, detached. Stoics do not argue. Freedom is not cruelty. Freedom is clarity. When your inner world is calm, you can help others more effectively. You can act more wisely. You can love more authentically. You are no longer a puppet of circumstance. You are the steady force in a turbulent world. This is a reward of discipline. This is the fruit of self-mastery. This is the power of ignoring everything that steals your energy and focus. It is quiet. It is invisible. It is internal. But it is stronger than any external force. Remember, the insults that once hurt you, the distractions that once drained you, the impulses that once controlled you, the need for approval that once enslaved you, the fears that once paralyzed you, all of them can now be ignored. And in ignoring them, you step into freedom. You step into strength. You step into life. Freedom is not given. It is chosen, moment by moment. And every moment you choose wisely, you awaken the Stoic within. The one who walks unshaken. The one who observes but does not bend. The one who acts with clarity, not chaos. This is not philosophy. This is survival. This is mastery. This is life. And this is your power. You've been searching for power, for peace, for control, but the world told you it lies outside, in the opinions of others, in the outcomes you cannot change, in the chaos that surrounds you. And so you reacted, you worried, you chased approval, you feared failure. But there is another way. The Stoics knew it. Rumi, in his silence, knew it too. True power is a power you cannot lose. It is the calm within the storm, the clarity in confusion, the unshakable presence, when everything else demands your attention. Stop reacting to what does not matter. Stop surrendering your energy to insults. Stop letting distractions steal your focus. Stop giving your worth to those who do not value it. Stop letting fear dictate your steps. You were never meant to be a prisoner of circumstance, opinion, or emotion. You were created to walk freely, to act deliberately, to choose wisely, to master yourself. Every insult ignored, every distraction dismissed, every impulse controlled, every fear confronted, every need for approval abandoned. Each moment builds strength. Each choice creates freedom. Each pause restores power. And then one day, you notice nothing can control you anymore. Nothing can dictate your peace. Nothing can weaken your spirit. Because you have become your own master, your own ruler, your own Stoic. This is not philosophy. This is life. The world will continue to shout. Chaos will continue to rise. People will continue to provoke, distract, and judge. But none of it touches you. Because your mind is your fortress. Your attention is your weapon. Your calm is your strength. And the world will notice nothing. Because true power is quiet, invisible, unyielding. So rise, stand firm, choose what deserves your energy, ignore the rest. You were never lost, you were never weak, you were never controlled. You were created to master yourself, to awaken your inner freedom, and to live a life that no chaos can disturb. This is your power. This is your Stoic strength. This is your life, and it is yours to command.